done with traveling. It is nice to be back home. Greetings and welcome to an LGR E3 thing. Yes, we're going to talk about the E3 thing. The big stupid convention that happens every year in Los Angeles, at least up till this point. There's talk of it not being in the same location in 2020, who knows, but I figured it'd be interesting to just talk about this whole experience and what it's actually like to visit this ridiculous show. Because, I don't know about you, but I see coverage of this every year, you know, going back to the 90s, and I always wondered what it was like. Now that I've been there a couple times, I figured I'd document the experience and share it. So my brother Luke and I, we both went there with a bunch of cameras and equipment to just capture the entire experience. And I mean everything from the mundane stuff like figuring out transportation and food and just getting passes to begin with, what that will get you, where that will not get you into, and all kinds of things like that. And, you know, looking at the booths and all the cool games and tech as well. But let's just dive into that. Kind of like an LGR Thrifts episode, but instead of going thrifting, we're going conventioning, or E3ing, or whatevering. I don't know, man. Let's go do it and dive into E3 2019. Alright, so as with all good stories, let's begin at the beginning, which begins before the beginning began, and that was back in April sometime, when I first signed up for the badges for E3. Now, you don't have to sign up beforehand, but I highly recommend it, because waiting in line to get them at the show would just be a friggin' pain. And there's a whole bunch of ways to get badges these days. You don't just have to be industry or press or media anymore. You can just get in as a gamer, I guess, is what it's called, a gamer pass. That one you have to pay for. I think it's like $300 normally, like before the show, and then once you're there it's like $9.95. These are not cheap passes, but you can get in. However, if you're media, then it is a little bit of a different thing. And well, what does media even mean? What qualifies as media? Well, a whole lot of things nowadays. It's actually easier than it's ever been to get into E3. I mean, I've never even had a problem getting in back when I had like 50,000 subs. Maybe the requirements are a little different now, but basically as long as you're somebody who covers some games in some form, you could pretty much get in if you could be verified and you have over a certain number of monthly views or monthly videos being put out related to games, or I don't know, there's some requirements, but the only other stuff that they look for is just making sure that you are you. So you have to provide like a photo ID or a government issued passport kind of thing, as well as a business card, and if you don't have a business card you can just make one up, and then a link to your channel that shows your face somewhere in a video or pictures or something. You know, they just have to make sure that you are who you are. And if you're qualified, then you get the qualified email here. Looks something like this. I've edited it a little bit for privacy, but yeah, pretty much just says you're in. You can get a barcode and you'll be able to pick up your badges at the show a couple days before the show. They do not ship the badges out. And from here, it's just the normal travel stuff, you know, selecting flights and a hotel. And yes, E3 does have a number of hotels that they recommend. I guess they have some deals with. You can get a little bit of a discount doing that. It's not a huge amount in my experience, but it is kind of nice because it gives you some extra options. However, it's going to be more expensive, so Airbnb makes a lot of sense too. And if you're media, then, well, you're probably familiar with a wall like this of just tons of emails coming in the very moment that you're approved for those badges. These are just a few of the more interesting ones that I've selected. But yeah, I mean, a lot of these things, especially when it comes to getting hands-on with games and such and being invited to press events and parties, and those are all invite only. Same goes for the press conferences, you know, things that are live streamed by like Microsoft and Ubisoft and I don't know, whoever else soft. Those guys will get in touch with you, or you have to know someone to get in. You can't just show up. I mean, I guess you could, but good luck with that. Finally though, it is day -2 of E3, at least for us. We decided to travel out Sunday. The actual show floor opens on Tuesday, but there's things happening on both Sunday and Monday that we were invited to, so we wanted to get there in the morning so we can get there in time for those things. And well, Airports, just a bunch of bad weather was coming through for the past several days at that point, and we ended up waiting there for about 6 hours and just watched the rain. There's not much else you could do. This is a tiny airport. They kept bumping and bumping and bumping up the flight as the previous night's flights were still trying to get off the ground. Weren't sure if we were going to be able to take off that day whatsoever, especially when we got to the counter and the person was like, "You're not even on this flight." And we're like, "Yeah, we are." And they said, "Oh, you've been removed," and they never told you? And we're like, "Nope, they never did." So it was just awful. The nightmares began immediately, and they continued the entire rest of the day, but spoiler alert. So eventually we were on the plane, completely unamused by absolutely anything whatsoever. Just happy to be in the air at this point, even though it had taken 6 friggin' hours to get here. Yeah, whatever. Eventually landed in Atlanta for our connecting flight, or it would have been a connecting flight, but we were about 4 or 5 hours late for it. So that meant making our way over to the service desk where we had to wait in line for about another hour and a half or something just to see if we could find a flight to LAX. And of course, with all the other delays, there were none. So we're just like, give us a plane to California. Let's just see what happens. In the meantime, we just wandered over to other parts of the airport and got us some nice daggone food at some daggone place. I don't even remember what this was, but it was super good. And thankfully, Atlanta has this nice underground tram system that gets you around the terminals quite easily, unlike LAX, for instance. They have these outdoor shuttles and they suck. But anyway, Atlanta's pretty decent for getting around, which we had to do a lot because they switched our departing gate, I think, 6 times. But eventually, again, we got on a plane at around 6:45 p.m. Eastern, so we'd already been doing the travel thing for 12 hours at that point. And they sent us to Santa Ana because there were 0 flights to LAX where we were originally going to go, and of course, that also meant that my luggage was sent to LAX. I don't know how exactly, apparently it took off at like 2 in the afternoon. Yeah, so that was something to deal with whenever we got there, but in the meantime, it was a pretty nice, peaceful flight. I always like flying over this part of the United States just to look at all the neat ground formations and weird desert things and mountains and rivers and all this kind of cool stuff. I don't know, it's just different surroundings than I normally see over on the mountainous Appalachian region of the East Coast. 4 hours later, we were making a landing in Santa Ana, which I had never been to before, and I guess I still really haven't because we were only there to find a car over to LAX because my luggage was there and we were hoping it was being held in some back office or something. So we got an Uber or a Lyft, or I don't remember half of this, and we went on over to LAX, which was like another hour and a half drive because traffic was just the absolute worst. Even at night here, there were a ton of inbound and outbound flights that were just getting screwed up, and it was awful. Finally though, made it over to LAX, picked up our crap, got into another Lyft or an Uber or whatever, and then made it to the hotel. And I don't even think I didn't get any footage of the outside or inside of the hotel except for the room briefly. Yeah, it's just a small little junior suite deal that we got. It was just, it was what was available, and it was really close to the convention center. I've stayed here before, so whatever, man. Don't care. At this point, we are just ready for bed. Ah, what a wonderful 5 hours of sleep. That wasn't wonderful at all. In fact, it was kind of garbage, but that's okay because we got E3 crap to do. Yes, and that means getting a quick breakfast, which I didn't film at all because screw that, I'm hungry. And we just started walking to the convention center since the shuttles weren't running yet and we weren't paying for another ride-sharing car quite yet. It was only like a 14-15 minute walk from the hotel anyway. Not bad, just down 2 streets. You take like a right and then a left, or a left and a right, I don't know, Albuquerque, and you're there. And you get to see some of lovely downtown LA, which is, well, only lovely to visit, and honestly I would never want to live there. But that's okay. No offense, LA people, your city's crazy. That's all I want to say about that. But I like visiting. It's neat. And you get to see some of the cool buildings that have been painted up with murals and such around E3. Like this one right here in the Figueroa Hotel. That's always nice to see whatever they put there. This year it was Doom Eternal. Awesome artwork. Always cool to see this in person because it's a lot bigger than you even realize. And that's totally what I said. And before you even get to the convention center itself, you start seeing a lot of the E3 shenanigans going on just in the surrounding areas. It's not just the Staples Center, or we'll get to more of this later. But yeah, once we made it to the actual convention center halls, we went to the West Hall entrance, which is where we were picking up media badges today. So yeah, you just kind of skip all this right here because that's for other different kind of badge pickups and registrations. You snake past the back area of the Staples Center, like Coliseum area where they do all the sporting events and concerts and such. E3's not in there. And then eventually you end up at a security checkpoint, and there they just check your bags and all the stuff to make sure you're not doing anything stupid. And I like this entrance because you get a fascinating look at the backside of E3 and all the loading bays and people setting things up and security checkpoints, and it's not the big glamorous advertising filled thing. I mean, there's still ads everywhere, but yeah, this is the area that you go in if you're media, especially if you want to get into the media rooms. Once you get past another dude looking at your ID and such, you can get into the media registration, or rather media badge pickup area, and yeah, they just check everything again and give you your badge. And at that point, you're free to go and check in to the Media Hospitality Lounge. They just check your ID and your badge every time. They give you a little bracelet thing, and there you go. You can just hang out in there. They give you, I don't know, a room to sort of hang out and do your work or whatever you want to do. We just wanted some waters and kind of get our bearings. And yes, they do provide Wi-Fi. It's not very fast, but it is better than relying on the cell network, which always just kind of crumbles when you get like 60, 70,000 people in the area. It's like a 25 megabit up and down. So, you know, not the worst, but not the best. And yeah, at this point, you know, we didn't know what else to do. So we just decided to look around at some of the convention center halls. Not the main ones. You can't actually get into those unless you're an exhibitor at this point, but yeah, I mean, we were inside, so we figured, hey, well, let's get our bearings just a little bit and kind of look and see where we want to go tomorrow when everything actually opens up. And yeah, at this point, it's just a lot of crap being laid down, stuff being unpacked and unboxed and set up and prepared, and it's kind of a madhouse, but at the same time, it's very quiet compared to the entire rest of the show. So yeah, it's just a kind of a neat experience to go through here and look at all the things that are going to become things. There's a lot of signage and stuff that just warning everyone that, yeah, you're going to be photographed and recorded through here, but, you know, right now, don't photograph inside of the actual show halls, and because there's like games that haven't been announced that they're setting up booths for inside the exhibition halls. So yeah, that's why we couldn't go in there. So down here is the south entrance, which is going to be absolutely packed tomorrow. So again, it's kind of neat to see everything before it gets started. At this point, it is just exhibitors, industry, press, and security walking around, just kind of getting to where they need to go, and I don't know, hanging out, I guess. Mostly working. We were just kind of hanging out. Alright, well, since there wasn't much to do here, we decided to take our way out of the convention center area and grabbed a lift over to a place called Sammy's. There's a camera shop somewhere west of where we were. It wasn't too long of a drive, and my goodness, was this worth the trip. My brother Luke was there with a lot of film cameras, or well, a couple film cameras and a lot of film, but he wanted more, and he wanted to see if they had film, and well, they had film. Dude, I think they have film. They also had an absolute ton of other stuff. A very interesting museum of old cameras and camera equipment, and it's like 4 levels of absolutely every kind of camera equipment related thing that you could want, or at least that I could want and have ever wanted and hoped and dreamed for. This is a great place. Got to look at a couple lenses and kit accessory type things for my Lumix GH5 and GH5S that we brought. I didn't get anything because I just bought a bunch of stuff before the trip, but yeah, it was just a lot of fun to look around here. And then up the next level, they have the pro grade stuff, you know, cinema cameras and lenses and massive lighting rigs and all sorts of things that honestly, a lot of this I'd never even seen in person before. So it was, I don't know, just a cool store. Loved hanging around here and just ogling everything and making mental wish lists of stuff that I might be interested in if I were MKBHD. After this, we decided to head back into town because we were gonna meet some folks down here anyway. This is Little Tokyo, somewhere that I always like to visit. My brother had never been. We went into a bunch of these little stores and didn't film any of it, but yeah, lots of things to look at both above ground and underground. There's a lot of neat little shops down there that, we only got a couple pictures, but yeah, just kind of taking it all in, looking at the collectibles and old video games and figurines and waifu pillows and whatever else they happen to have stacked up against the walls. Also grabbed some ramen and takoyaki because because you have to do that. Super tasty stuff, absolutely everywhere down there. I love this area. And after this, we stopped in a place called Wolf and Crane because this is where we were going to meet people anyway. Again, didn't get too much footage down there, but yeah, they have a nice selection of drinks if you're into that. There's more footage of this over on the Metal Jesus Rocks channel because we met up with Jason and Kelsey and John Riggs and Cody and several other related folks. Here's a photo with some of us right here. John Linneman from Digital Foundry and Alex, who does a lot of cool things. And right now, he just happens to be with Dolby. Wish I'd gotten more footage there, but I didn't. I was too busy schmoozing. So anyway, on over to the next morning. And yeah, this is the lobby area of our hotel, the Mayfair Hotel. It's a nice little spot. We're just waiting for the shuttles, and they appear at certain times. This being Tuesday, June 11th, between 9 and 12, it arrives about every 10 or 15 minutes. Sure enough, 10 minutes later, the bus arrived out front, and you just hop in. As long as you have your E3 badge, it is free, whether you're industry, media, gamer pass, whatever. Totally awesome because, you know, we ended up taking a lot of Ubers and Lyfts throughout this trip, and that adds up pretty quickly in terms of cost. Plus, I think this was the day that the heat wave was going through and it was over 90 degrees and like 113 degrees east of LA. So yeah, I'll take the free air-conditioned bus. You get dropped off at one of these bus locations. I think there's 7 of them, or at least there were this year. And we just made our way over to the South Hall, since that's where we're dropped off, and they got a security checkpoint. And you get this every single time you go into any of the entrances of the show. If you're media and industry and exhibitor, you can bring bags up to a certain size. But if you just have the public gamer pass, then there's a ton of restrictions on bags. In fact, I saw a bunch of people get turned away for even bringing like tiny little backpacks. Much less restrictive if you're media though. And yes, inside the facilities, and this right now, since it is the industry hours, you will not see any public people here, so industry exhibitors, press, and media. Still a whole lot of people though. I mean, there's there's no shortage of folks trying to get in the front. You can see over here the entrance to the West Hall is starting to pile up, and yeah, I'm starting to film, man. That's really why we came here after all, is just trying to capture the entire show in as many ways as we could. So yeah, may as well start straight away. And yeah, this big pile of bodies you see down there, this is just waiting to get in to the main exhibition halls, and in this case, it is the West Hall. No, it's not. It's the South Hall. I always get those mixed up because on the map, they're like weird. Okay, here, just look at this. Okay, so on the map, this is the West Hall. This is the South Hall. If I interchangeably screw them up throughout this video, that's just, my brain doesn't work that way. But there's also this E3 app that they give you, and, well, they don't give it to you. You have to download it, and it's not good either. It's clunky and slow, and I hate it, and the text is not very legible. It is handy, I guess, you know, for looking at some interactive searching and maps and stuff. They used to just give you like a booklet, like a pamphlet thing to fold out on paper. I kind of liked that and miss it, but whatever, man. That's just me being old. Anyway, yeah, we're just waiting to get into the show, and this is, yeah, it's supposed to open at a certain time, I think 11 a.m., but it ended up being like 11:25 by the time everybody got in, or at least by the time we got in. There's like a ribbon cutting ceremony that nobody cares about. That happens too. I mean, you know, whatever. I just want to get into the show, and eventually the line starts moving, and you go up the escalators and make your way to the front doors. And there's another quick little security check. They're just looking to see that you have the right badge. Larry. And once you're inside, this right here, not Fortnite specifically, but this hall, this is very much what people think of when they think of the E3 convention. The South and West halls just filled with all the booths, man, the big giant booths full of things. So right up front here, you had Fortnite and 2K games, which I think really was just Borderlands 3. There might have been something else they were showing. This is all I noticed. And yeah, I mean, we were just walking around. I mean, this first day, that's all I like to do. I don't have any appointments. Like, I didn't make any appointments at all this year, except for just people that are fun to hang out with. No official press things. If you're just here to look around and hang around, then you can do that. There's a lot of games to play, a lot of merch to look at, a lot of things to pick up and play with, and lines to form into, and it's just a bunch of hubbub, a bunch of craziness, a lot of people watching in my case. I just like to look at the crowds and see what's going and feel the energy because it's neat. It's one of those things that you only get by going to a gigantic convention like this. It doesn't even matter if it's gaming. In my case, I don't care. I just like to go to conventions every so often. Like maybe a once or twice a year thing at the very most. I don't do these too much, but when I do, it's neat to just wander and look at the things, you know? The lights and the music, the smells. Was kind of smells like feet. A little bit of corn chips. I mean, that was most things on this trip. Maybe I have a olfactory problem. I don't know. Everything smells like feet and corn chips these days. But yeah, in this one particular hall, the South Hall, got it right this time. You got Epic, 2K, Warner Brothers, Square Enix, Ubisoft, Capcom, Bandai Namco, Bethesda, THQ, Nordic, and a bunch of other people that are in there and sort of scattered around. There's a lot of smaller booths too that get lost. I mean, even when they're still pretty large, they still get lost. Really, it's hard to even know what to look at, what to film, where to stop, where to continue walking, and just ignore it because you know you don't care. In fact, most of this, I'd say that it's just not on my radar in terms of interests these days. That's not why I'm really here, after all. Like I said, I'm just here to take in the experience and document it for you guys, and occasionally run across things like this abomination. Commander Keen Mobile. Nope. It gets a nope for me because, I mean, not only was the original creator not involved, Tom Hall, they didn't even ask him to be involved, and he had ideas for new Keen games, and they just ignored him. And then it's a mobile free-to-play thing with a bunch of junk tossed in there, and it just doesn't, no. And seeing as it's a puzzle-type game, I'm assuming there's just going to be timers and restrictions and premium currency, and it's not anything that I want at all. I have nothing against the new art style. I don't have any problem with the thing being rebooted. It's just this way. Nope. Alright, rant over. Let's get back to the show. And, well, it's just a lot of wandering around at this point. Like I said, definitely didn't take me long to find the National Video Game Museum area. That's always fun. They set up this cool retro spot here. It's kind of a museum / hands-on with a lot of retro consoles and arcade games. I found a Vectrex, and that made me happy for a bit. And just down from that, next to the marshmallows walking by, there was the Hyperkin booth. And I've always had mixed feelings on the stuff they produce, but, you know, they had some interesting things this year, including that Nintendo 64 clone system, which wasn't playable, so I didn't even bother looking at it. And they also had their light gun alternative for modern TVs, the Hyper Blaster HD. It's cool that it's working. I've seen a few of these things coming out now, like this year, next year, so I'll be curious to see which modern light gun thing comes out on top. And yeah, even though the floor wasn't open to the public yet, there was no shortage of meeting and greeting, whether it was people that watch our YouTube shows or salesmen just seeing the media badges and wanting some attention on their product. But yeah, it's always fun to go to these things and bump into people that you know and just generally hang out and talk about things. Apparently I became an impromptu 1995 Sega PC product salesman here. I was showing this thing off to just every YouTuber I knew because I thought it was fascinating. You'll see it in an upcoming video, but yeah, just bothering John and Audie from Digital Foundry right here. Alright, what else did I see on the floor here in this hall? Yeah, there was this thing. I was drawn to the whole booth because it was just made of wood. But yeah, so was their product. It was like a console inside of a wooden briefcase. I don't exactly know who the market is here, but apparently they're pretty hopeful because these booths aren't cheap. I think I was reading that they start at like 30 grand for a smaller one and then they go way up from there. It's not uncommon for some of these guys to spend like 100 to 300,000. That's not including like $1,000 to access the Wi-Fi. Yeah, anyway, just looking around at all these things, it makes me wonder if attending here paid off for them or not. Oh yeah, I got to see a guy get blasted in the face with Bethesda's hot Steam. Ironic since Bethesda uses their own launcher, not Steam. And this was confusing. Over near the backwards walking people, there were these stacks of loot boxes, like real life loot boxes. I saw a lot of these around, and people were buying them, man. I don't know what was in them. Like, this culture confuses me. And it just wouldn't be E3 without some ridiculous booth trying to be as bright and loud and eye-catching as possible with like dancers and music, and I don't even know what they were selling. Or were they? It wasn't a game. It was like a, I don't know, spandex? I think it was an energy drink. They had a gigantic booth. Was it really worth that kind of cash? I mean, I guess if you have it, so whatever. These are the kind of things I like to see, though. You know, monster trucks hanging around all over the place. I don't even know what it was for. Yeah. THQ Nordic has a monster truck game or something. And there were a couple of Lego games announced. That was always fun. I guess they got a new Star Wars one with this Lego Han Solo in Carbonite. I thought that was a pretty cool model. And it was a bit of a fun distraction seeing people get slapped in the face with Epic Games' big long rod here. Just sort of spinning around. I guess you're supposed to jump over it and under it. I don't know. Is this a Fortnite thing? I mean, it is, but is this in Fortnite? I don't even know. This was interesting, though. Completely unplanned. I was just getting random B-roll here of people in lines, and then this happened. So yeah, the power just cut off the main show floor there for a second. Nothing too major really. It came right back on, and like the house lights, you know, and the rest of the building stayed on, but everything on the show floor itself turned off. And that means the live streams, the events, the demos, everything had to be reset. Still don't know exactly what happened, but it was kind of interesting to hang around there for a bit and hear everybody in the industry garb just freaking out and trying to get everything back on. Like, oh crap, the live stream went down, and oh, the store's down, and this thing. It was just chaos, mostly behind the scenes, but everybody else on the floor was just kind of laughing it up. And it turns out Luke was filming at the same time as well, and yeah, it was not quite as exciting from his perspective. Yeah, there you go. You can see like the rest of the lights just kind of stayed on there on the outskirts of the hall. Really was just everything connected in the middle. So yeah, I don't know. It is a slightly interesting thing. You know what? Whatever. We're done with this hall for now. Besides, it's almost time for the public to get in. Well, it is now. Everybody here in the orange badges, these are those with gamer passes, which carries the aforementioned restrictions in terms of not being able to bring in like a load of camera stuff and bags and whatnot. And you also can't get into any of the media things or whatever, but you know, you get to explore the show floors and just generally hang out and experience a bit of E3. So yeah, you know what? This felt like a good time for us to go back to the media lounge and hang out away from everything and maybe think about some lunch. Yeah. And yes, if you are media, then you get free lunches, which is absolute chaos. Everything is first come, first serve, so you just kind of got to be there at the right time and get something that happens to be within your reach. Nothing like a bit of mediocre food for free that turns a bunch of professionals into a pile of crazy people. So what about the other alternatives for things to imbibe and ingest? Well, there are plenty of spots out on the floor. Vendors set up shops selling beverages and sandwiches and chips and snacks of really all kinds. A lot of this out on the show floor is pretty expensive. I mean, everything here is going to be expensive. I mean, just even looking at the vending machines, just about everything starts at $4, even for just a basic Coke. $4. I've seen worse, but I've certainly seen better as well. In fact, just going out here to the food court area, and you can often find better alternatives, and sometimes cheaper too. Coffee, tea, churros, pretzels, Asian dishes of various types, you know, rice bowls and things like that, and some sushi of absolutely dubious quality. Some mixed kind of Hawaiian, I don't even know what, slushies and all that kind of stuff, and there's kebabs and things. And that's just in this one little area of the food court. So ended up grabbing some of that dubious sushi. It was, it wasn't good. I mean, it wasn't horrible, but you know, it was like a step down from gas station sushi. And he got one of those smoothies and a nice coffee, and here I am wondering if my insides are going to be okay. Really, the back area of the food court is a little better. You got burgers, sandwiches, hot dogs, pizza, fries, soda, nachos, and coffee back here. And this is all cafeteria style. You just kind of go in there and get in line and pick up what you want. And yeah, they cook it all right there. It's, you know, it's not too bad, really. On one of the other days, I ended up grabbing one of those little pizzas. It was like a $10 thing or something. It was all right. However, it's outside, like just outside of the convention center, that I would recommend grabbing some foods, because there's a lot of food trucks and stands and just LA things set up all over the place right outside. Like this one, you don't even have to go back through security to get to. It's just right inside the perimeter. Of course, going right outside, yeah, that's where you find all these little carts and things set up with, I don't know, just a little bit of everything, really. Like, dude, I got this loaded bacon-wrapped hot dog for like $5 or something. The bread wasn't even stale. That's better than I can say for the stuff inside. Yeah, that reminds me, speaking of dogs, you know, no one ever really talks about the E3 dogs. Look at that little guy wandering around down there. In fact, I think somebody told me his name is Bacon. Anyway, a lot of the security guards have dogs going around just sniffing things, and man, the dogs seem super happy doing their job. May not be the most intimidating security dog I've ever seen, but it doesn't matter. That's all. I just want to make the point that nobody talks about the E3 dogs, and there's a bunch of them. Like there's a new Watch Dogs game here, but who cares when you can do it in real life? Alrighty, well, I think we're done with this section of the convention for now, so let's move on over to the other main hall, the West Hall. which still feels like the Northeast Hall to me, but whatever. You go down this long hallway here, as you can see my brother filming, switch over to his perspective, and yeah, this is the section. It's just a big long hallway with a bunch of stuff off to the side that we'll come back to briefly later, but it always has these signs and things up above from different companies every year. This year it happened to be 2K, I guess. And yeah, once you make it around to this wing, you can go behind the stairs here, and this is the entrance to the West Hall. You got one of those really simple little security checks. Just make sure your badge is turned around the right way, and as long as they see that you have a badge, you can get in. And yeah, right away you can see that it's a little more low-key in this area. I mean, you do have the gigantic Sega, Nintendo, and Oculus over there to the right, but off to the left there's really not much. And having been here in the past, that's pretty strange. You've probably heard, but Sony just decided not to come here at all this year. And honestly, I can feel their lack of presence in a big way, especially in this hall. In previous years, you'd have Nintendo, Sony, and Microsoft, the big three all just right here taking up this big hall, and it was pretty awesome to see them just competing for attention. But now, it's pretty much Nintendo has it all to themselves, and there's a couple little tertiary things around it. Microsoft is in another building entirely, and like I said, Sony just skipped out. So on the west side of the West Hall, what do you have? Well, not much. I mean, there's an esports zone, a networking lounge, something called Big Ben, the 10G Gaming Lifestyle Pavilion, and there's also Lenovo and Xseed, but you know, other than that, I mean, what is there? There's a bunch of weird little things off there in a corner that honestly I forgot about until I was looking at this footage. There's also something called the Unreal Garden. I think that was like a mixed reality experience. The line was ridiculous, and yeah, man, it's just not the Sony and Microsoft thing that you had in the past, and it is kind of a bummer coming into this hall in this year, so whatever. At least Nintendo is kind of cool. Always a bunch of buzz, and it's, I don't know, there's something about the Nintendo booth that is always exciting and kind of magical and kind of feels like a kid again going there. It's like, oh man, they have their music playing and the big giant displays. They always do a really good job with their booth. I just never play anything at their booth, to be honest. It's just like, this stuff is going to be coming out soon. So yeah, I just kind of wandered through here. And they do have this nice press area as well. And just down from them, you had the Oculus booth, and, well, you know, Oculus. There's a bunch of related augmented and virtual reality stuff just surrounding them too, but if you're into the VR thing and you don't have any of it at home, these kind of experiences are always fun at big trade shows like this. Sega certainly had an interesting thing going on here, especially with the, I mean, there was like the Mario and Sonic stuff and Persona and whatnot, but the main thing I was intrigued to try out was the Sega Genesis Mini, or really I just wanted to see it because I like miniature consoles, man, and I'm excited for this one. Got a great list of games, and they had this gigantic Sega Genesis to celebrate the Mini. It was really just a giant controller, but it worked, man. It was totally playable. You could play like Streets of Rage and stuff with this, and we did, and it was a little more tricky, actually, to do that. It was really big buttons and the tilting D-pad over there. It was just fun. I like these kind of gimmicks. I also really like the Indiecade, or Independent Games Showcase, that they have over there in this hall. It's just always fun to go and see some games that are actually unique, whether for the gameplay or the design or the people behind them or the way that they're played. Often there's experimental control scheme, or it only works when you have random crowds of people coming by to participate in the game, or it's just something totally out of the box, like this box. It's got like lights and junk on it. It was super fascinating. And that's actually one reason that I like going to PAX a little more, because there's a lot more of this kind of stuff at PAX. There's more of that here too, but you have to go to something like the Mix, and that's not like a public thing. So anyway, Indiecade is always fun to stop by. In fact, one of these booths was the source of like my only pickup for this entire show. Some people go here just for swag, man. That's not me, but occasionally I'll find an interesting product that just impresses the crap out of me, so I'll get it, and that's what this was. I got this tiny little Tempest machine from New Wave Toys. Not only is the detail incredible, it's actually made of like a wood cabinet and everything, and like the display looks really good, and the spinner feels nice, and like, dude, I was super impressed with this, and they were selling it at a bit of a discount, I think $90. Can't wait to unbox it and play it, and I don't know, maybe I'll do a video on it or something. These little arcade units excite me. They also had this thing too. I mean, look at this. A little change machine. It was just a prototype, but this is actually like a USB charging station. That's such a cool idea. I just will be curious to see the final build once it's actual wood and not just like a placeholder. And then, of course, they also had this boombox deal, a miniature version of the Victor or JVC RCM90, known as the king of boomboxes. I really want one of these, or at least get one and send it to Tecmo or something, because this is so cool looking. Oh yeah, and real quick, as we're about to leave for the day, remember those little areas I was talking about off to the side of the hallway we get to come to this hall? Well, yeah, they are filled with things, even though it's pretty nondescript. You just have to know to look there. Rooms full of cubicles and meeting rooms and all this kind of stuff that you pretty much have to have an appointment to get into, but this is where a lot of the coolest hands-on demos are. And we didn't go into any of them because we weren't applying for them. And also, you don't get to film for the most part, so it just didn't even bother, but yeah, that's what this looks like. You can also go upstairs above the West Hall here, and if you go around the corner, there are even more. And this is where a lot of like AAA hands-on demos are with the press, so if you have an invite to one of those, you can play things like Dying Light 2 and Cyberpunk. Well, you couldn't play Cyberpunk, but they showed you like an hour of footage. And yeah, there's just tons of things like this all over the show floor. And like I said, a lot of the most interesting hands-on demos or just gameplay things that the developer shows you in person happens behind closed doors. That's a whole nother section of E3 here that I would love to show, but like I said, filming is usually not a thing. But yeah, we had somewhere to be this evening, so we got invited over to this place called the Border Grill and got to meet with a bunch of cool people. It was 3D Realms putting this on. Awesome dudes like Fred and Mike from 3D Realms, as well as the legend himself, Scott Miller, the founder of Apogee, and oh man, it was so cool finally meeting him. Also met up with the Digital Foundry dudes that were here, as well as G-Man Lives. Yeah, just all around a really cool group to talk to, and Scott was nice enough to sign my Kroz disc. Huge thanks to Frederick and Mike and everybody for putting this on. This was so cool. Skipping to the next morning here, and we decided to do something a little bit different and not go to the show floor immediately, and instead went to The Novo. This is a venue in the same kind of Coliseum complex, and Jeff Keighley was hosting a lot of panels and talks with some really cool people, and today, this is the one that I wanted to see the most. It was none other than Will Wright.
Please welcome Will Wright. Mr. Wright! Good to see you, my friend. It's been a long time. It's been far too long.
So yeah, last night I got to meet the founder of Apogee, and then today I get to see the creator of SimCity and The Sims and all the Maxis things in person. So, dude, what a crazy trip. Loved hearing him just go on about his new game type thing that's not really a game at all. It's called Proxy. The ideas are extremely Will Wright. There was a live stream of this too, so I'm sure it's archived somewhere if you want to go and find that. But yeah, at this point, we were just kind of avoiding the main show floor and going out behind it, and oh, dude, ha, nice shot. But yeah, if you just walk a little bit away from all of the convention center stuff, you will make it to the Microsoft Theater. And yeah, they have their own theater. I think it used to be the Nokia one, but it's Microsoft now. And this is where they were doing their gaming stuff related to E3. It was open during the same hours as the E3 show floor, but it's not technically E3, it's just here. Media badges don't seem to get you in any quicker. Everybody has to wait in this long friggin' line. They did at least hand out free drinks, and they had these people there singing and playing sea shanties. I don't know, I guess it was like a Sea of Thieves thing. But yeah, once you get inside, there's really not a whole lot to see, at least in this main lobby area. Yeah, there's like a Elite controller display, which was absurd. Yeah, everything is happening inside the actual theater itself, where they did their big press conference this previous Sunday. And you gotta wait in another line, and they just sort of let people in batches to go up on stage and try out the demos and stuff, and I don't know, man. It's kind of cool in terms of spectacle, like just the largeness of the venue and the lights and all that crap, but it was just Microsoft. It does not hold a candle to how it's been in previous years when they were on the show floor with Sony and Nintendo. And just, dude, man, I miss older E3. Let me put it that way. It was cool, though. You know, they had some decent stuff up on stage just to gawk at, like the gigantic Lego McLaren for that weird Forza Horizon Lego thing that they're doing. But yeah, you know, for the most part, it was just like people getting a little bit of hands-on of a demo of a game that's going to be out in like a month or two. A lot of noise, a lot of people huddled close together, and a lot of green. So we left. That's all that was. Besides, we hadn't made our way over to probably the coolest spot at E3. That is the Devolver Digital lot, across the street from the convention center as signified by the large floating balloon. And it's like an anti-E3 thing. If you're press or media industry or whatever, you can just get in and hang out, man. They were doing live streaming, they got a DJ there, and there's free drinks and food. You can play ping pong, you can, whatever. There's like a museum of Devolver Digital oddities, and dude, these people are just super cool. Met up with a bunch of other YouTubers here, a bunch of Metal Jesus Rocks crew, and Kenzie was working here, so that was fun. But yeah, free food, man. Look at this tostada. Man, look at this. Look at this. Ended up hanging around here several times throughout the show. It just feels like a much more inviting and enjoyable retreat from all the nonsense of E3. Much more enjoyable than the media room. And while we were at Devolver, we ended up getting invited by some of the folks that were hanging out there to go and meet up at a place called Clifton's Cabinet of Curiosities on the final night, and this place was an absolute trip. It's a multi-story building full of incredibly unique decor and lighting and just situations, man. You go in there and there's this big gigantic tree in the middle, and you can sit inside of it, and it has a fireplace. You can order all kinds of foods and drinks and things and just kind of hang out, man. Upstairs, there's like a tiki bar area, and it's like a hidden door, and you get into it that way, and there's an actual boat. Yeah, we just found an area in the back here, and yeah, here's a photo. This was taken by Kenzie, and yeah, a few of us there ended up sharing this scorpion boat thing, and I think at this very moment I'm gonna laugh my face off there because one of the paper straws caught fire in the middle of the drink as we were taking the picture, so it still makes me laugh. Whatever, cool location. Everything was overpriced. So we went to somewhere else, a Star Wars themed cantina without any actual Star Wars stuff. This is not Galaxy's Edge. This is it's just awesome. It happened to be karaoke night, so it was loud as crap, but another one of those spots where you just go in there, you're like, this is super cool, man. All the themed nightlife places in LA just amuse me to no end. There's so many of these spots, a bunch of them we wanted to go to, but this was the last one I think we ended the night out with. And after a few people started parting ways, the rest of us stopped in this little pizza place randomly after midnight, and yeah, this is exactly what was needed. Love pizza. I want some pizza now, dang it. I'll go back to LA. What is this crap? Why am I here? Editing pizza. That's better. Oh, and I got to see the Back to the Future DeLorean. Yeah, we went by the Peterson Museum, and this was the hero car used in Back to the Future. Not some replica. No, this is the one that they got from the Universal lot or whatever and restored it some years ago. Now it looks great. It's not E3 stuff. This is just in the area, right? I don't know. Just hanging around with the beach and things, and look at all this. Now it's turning into a travel vlog. I don't even know what to say. Even if you don't go and do anything like this, just take some time beforehand. Highly recommend that because we were rushing to get there. And then we ended up with all that travel nonsense with our flights. But yeah, anyway, that's E3. And now I'm back home and I have 14 hours of footage.